Hi, I'm Eddie. This is my second update of my 12-week brain and mind practice, representing weeks 4 through 6, where I've combined two books, The Invincible Brain by Dr. Fotuhi and Understanding Our Mind by Thich Nhat Hanh. I'll be articulating my progress, the lack of, the adaptations, and learnings. Initially, I was going to use the word face planting in the title, but I didn't fall that hard. But I thought about using that word because the past week I was a little surprised at how far I did veer from my practice. I think being tired, being busy, lack of sleep, I felt that I've kind of spiraled out of my rhythm of practice where I gave in to some social media. I feel like I'm riding a bicycle where I'm tipping over to the one side and then to the other side and constantly trying to maintain my balance. I thought about the drivers of the lack of concentration and what the solutions are, and I honestly feel that getting better sleep, better rest can be very helpful in that situation. So I mentioned that I've been maintaining my meditation practice. However, from weeks 1 through 3, I was only doing 10 plus minutes. And so around week 4 and 5, I decided to increase meditation. However, to change it up a little bit, I decided to add 10 plus minutes of chanting meditation. Chanting is also another method of focusing the mind, and I think you'll find many religious or spiritual traditions that do chanting. It could be mantras or koans or Buddha or Bodhisattva's names, etc. What am I doing specifically? I'm chanting Avalokiteshvara's name, but in Chinese. There is the longer version and the shorter version. Longer version is Namo Guanxin Pusa, and the shorter version is Guanyin Pusa. I think if I had to dig in a bit more into the chanting of Bodhisattva's name, it would be more of a Pure Land practice. However, you'll find other Buddhist traditions also chanting the Buddha's name or Bodhisattva's name, such as Tibetan and Theravada. At least that's what my understanding is. Per Master Sayan, in one of his talks, he mentioned that chanting the Guanyin Pusa's name is also a type of mantra. But besides the focusing aspect of chanting, if you're Buddhist, you may believe there are other benefits to chanting Guanyin Pusa, such as overcoming karmic obstructions, helping those who passed or are passing in a time of crisis, or overcoming emotions, etc., etc. So how's my practice in the past 3 weeks? On average, it was better than the first 3 weeks, but based on grades, I'm still failing. Mid-40s. And I think the past week, due to my being unbalanced, did not help. But it's not all bad because I felt like I was able to observe my mind, the mental gymnastics of deciding to take a break from our screen time or not, what the driving forces may be, and what are some things I could do to not make those decisions. And one of my conclusions, for myself at least, is that it takes energy and a focus to resist the urge, and thus getting better rest, better sleep would be very helpful, at least for me. And so what has helped me to maintain my practice, or as well as I've done? Adaptation, such as adding the chanting practice, is helpful. Having a daily tracker is helpful. And making this video also helps. Going forward, I will need to make more improvements, trials and errors, adaptations, and more efficiencies. Regarding my learnings, I really feel I made the right decision to read Understanding Our Mind by Thich Nhat Hanh because it's really applicable to what I'm doing right now, at least up to this point, because I don't know what the remainder of the chapters would be like. Specifically, I read section 2, chapter 16 through 22, where it focuses on manas, or the seventh consciousness, and its relationship to the eighth consciousness and the sixth consciousness. He talks about craving, perceptions or false perceptions, the perceiver, the perceived, and the medium that is being perceived in, discrimination, grasping, etc. Essentially about the self. How fitting as this past week I'm spiraling out of control, and I'm reading these chapters talking about how mind works, and I'm watching my own mind in action. Another interesting teaching in these chapters is that he mentions meditation is like shining a light onto the seventh consciousness, or manas, the perceptions, discriminations, grasping, and the eighth consciousness, the seeds, the mental formation, etc. And I interpret that as metacognition, kind of like me watching my mind in action, deciding to, get some more screen time or not. So it's been really helpful for me, although as I said, I don't know what the remainder of the chapters will be like as they pertain to my own brain and mind practice. I do want to mention that this book introduces other fascinating teachings, such as the manifestation only teaching, the mind only school, or I think it's very Yogacara, where everything is a manifestation of the individual and the collective mind, like everything. However, for these updates, I'm mentioning more of the teachings that are more applicable to my brain and mind practice. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say for this update. Thank you very much. Till next time.